This week, I'm joined by my better half. My wonderful girlfriend joins me to talk about how I got her into D&D and what it means to have a relationship at your table. If you've got a significant other and you want them to give it a go, we've got some tips and tricks. Welcome to We Speak Common. Hello and welcome to another episode of the D&D podcast for everyone, because here we speak common. This is a show brought to you in partnership with the Dice Dungeon, your one-stop shop in the UK for beautiful, pristine metal and resin dice. And you should always keep an eye on new things being added to their store every single week. You can get 10% off your checkout with the code WeSpeakCommon, or you can follow a link in the description below and it will automatically put that code on your checkout basket. We're also brought to you in partnership with Describe. If you're looking to jump behind the DM screen but you worry about being at a loss for words, Describe have you covered. It's spelled D-S-C-R-Y-B, and it offers over 1,400 scenes of places, monsters and spells with a collection that keeps growing. It's just like box text from your favourite adventure book, but designed to be read aloud in your own campaign. You can start the adventure of a lifetime with the help of Describe's finely crafted box text. Visit describe.com, that's DSCRYB.com, and use the code COMMON at checkout to save 10%, or of course, follow the link in the description. I would be amiss to say that this podcast is also supported by the wonderful Patreons who are chatting away daily on the We Speak Common Discord server. If you want to get involved, if you want to join, and grab your hands on a brand new product, more on that later, then go and check out the Patreon. Again, links in the descriptions below. And as ever, I will try to shamelessly sell those items to my guest at some point during the show, who today is probably the guest that knows me the best because she sees my dirty underwear. Phoebe Hammond.
Hello.
You are not my housemaid, you're my girlfriend. Hi.
Hi.
Sometimes it feels like the other one.
Yeah.
How are you doing? You alright?
Yeah, I'm good, yeah. How are you?
Yeah, this is weird. I don't normally get to sit in... Well, that's not true. I haven't got to sit in the same room with a podcast guest since before... Not last Christmas, the Christmas before that. And that was the last time Joe and I recorded in the same room together in a studio. And of course,
wow,
pandemic happened and now the show's evolved beyond what it was before.
Mm.
So this is this feels very alien.
Mm.
Very weird. Like it's strange not having headphones muffling my own voice on my ears.
Yeah. And looking at someone.
Yeah, like I don't want to look at you. I want to look at the
Eye
computer
contact.
or something. Yeah, like, it's weird. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like giving you eye contact anyway.
Ew.
Don't like you that much. You. To tell you what, I'll let you describe yourself in D&D. Like, what is your? The question I often ask is, what is your D&D career? Like, what is D&D to you?
Blimey. Okay, so
yeah,
I have been playing D&D for nearly 5 years. Because I think we've been together 5, nearly 6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So took you a little while to get me into it. But once I was in. I was hooked. So yeah, I think my career has been Curse of Strahd, Tomb of Horrors, Waterdeep Dragon Heist.
You've played quite a few one shots.
Strahd Must Die Tonight.
Yeah, you're mostly like long form campaigns, aren't you?
Yeah.
And you're always the player. You've never been a DM.
Never. That scares me slightly.
Any want to do that in the future? There was a yes there.
Yeah, no, I do. Yeah, there is a want, but I see how much work you put into it, and that frightens me because I feel like I would be a real mediocre DM, and we are used to you being like top tier DM.
Cheers, babe.
And everyone would just be like, "Yeah, Phoebe, that was nice, but can we have Ben back now?"
I think though that. I was a mediocre DM when I started, and I think everybody is, and we know the difference between that. And I think the balance to you being like, it's my first time, I'm going to get things wrong, is that it would be a fun experience for everyone.
Yeah, I think it would definitely have to be, the people that we're very comfortable with playing with, like our standard group. no newbies, because, I mean, yeah, I've been playing for nearly 5 years, and I still, honestly, not a word of a lie, last night made my first character sheet on my own.
Yeah, that was a big moment.
I never made a character sheet on my own, because I struggle with, like, the math side of stuff. So I'm like, I have no idea what I'm adding onto this, or, like...
You do have dyscalculia, though.
Yeah, but, I mean, that's just, like...
And you've got into a game that's basically all maths.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. True.
Yeah, and you were like, it's taking me 2.5 hours. Like, yeah, it always takes me that long.
I said I needed to build a character to my sister last night, and she was like, I'll let you get back to your drawing. And I was like, ha ha ha, it's maths. I was like, it's not drawing. I'm not drawing a character. Yeah, she doesn't understand that.
Yeah, but she's very much outside the
the bubble.
The bubble, yeah. Okay, so what I want to talk about today then, considering all of that, and considering that you, I think, would still consider yourself a new player,
for sure,
is on this wonderful episode of Table Fables, is how I got you, my significant other, who has dyscalculia, who is afraid of numbers, to play Dungeons and Dragons, and what that's like, and what it means to have a spouse at the table, because it's not unusual. I mean, we see it in things like on the grand scale, Critical Role, Matt Marisha, Liam and Travis.
I mean,
well,
bromance.
Travis and Laura, and obviously there are so many other shows where that is the case. So it happens. But how and what is that like? That's what this episode is about. And to give like some advice to people who might be at home thinking, I'm really into this hobby, like me, like this is the thing that I like, this is my hobby. I spend hours every single day thinking about it.
Oh yeah.
How do I put that across to my other half who has no clue or no understanding as to what it is, and how do I make it accessible, basically?
It's crazy that like we're sitting in a room full of D&D, you know, stuff. Memorabilia and stuff, and it's crazy to think that like 6 years ago I would have had no idea what any of this was. Do you know what I mean? Like, I would have been like, what the? Yeah,
like I got books and minis and dice and DM screens and stuff and art on the walls. Yeah. No, I totally get that. So let's go back in time then to about 5 years ago. We'd been together for We'd probably been together for like a year and a bit.
Yeah.
And we'd obviously known each other before then. And we went camping. And I'd just bought Curse of Strahd, and I was going to run it for James, Ayrton, and Wesley. I don't even think I knew I was running it for James at that point. Joe wasn't in that campaign, no. I don't even think James was in that campaign yet, because he joined halfway through Death House after the first couple of sessions.
Was that his first?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my god. The fact that I have been playing D&D
for as long as James.
And he's so good.
Far beyond you, yeah. It's not a competition.
That is crazy.
It's not a competition. Yeah. But I know what you mean. But that's like the level of devotedness.
He's just like, he can create an insanely optimum character.
And he's like me, like it's his thing. D&D is his thing. Whereas
and he does also DM.
Yeah, for you it's your thing, but it's not the same extreme, not to the same level as it is for us. So I'd taken Curse of Strahd with me camping. Please don't cringe, because I was so scared to like get this book wet or something. Because I love my D&D books. And to be fair, I do have 2 copies of Curse of Strahd, because that original one fell apart, the binding went, and Wizards
not because of the camping.
No.
different thing.
Wizards were very nice to send me a free replacement copy and let me keep the old one. So I do have a pristine one on my shelf for memorabilia reasons. Because I'm a big giant nerd. Don't shake your head at me. So I'd taken that as the book, like, I want to read a book while we're camping. I need to read this book to get it all in my brain. Like, I need to do my second read through or my first read through or whatever it was. And I think I just did that really annoying thing where you're reading a book and you go, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's awesome.
And you do that with literally every single book.
Thanks. And
and then it's
some
like,
point,
I don't want to ask.
yeah, at some
But
point
now
you're
I've
like, I
gotta
have to
ask.
ask, I have to know. And what was it about it? Because Strahd is known as, not the person, the campaign is known as the best 5e adventure. Like across the board. I haven't met anyone, and I haven't heard of anyone disagreeing with that. I know there will be people that do, but 9 times out of 10 people say Strahd is the top one so far. What was it about the snippets that I told you that made you go, actually, this sounds like something I want to be part of?
The darkness, I think, to be honest.
The gothic horror of it.
Yeah, because I ended up playing a sort of teetering on evil character. And that worked really well. And I knew as soon as you started talking about it, I could imagine the world and I could imagine the characters, which meant that I was already, a step in because I'd imagined my character without even really knowing that I had.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just dark and it was interesting and I had heard a lot of your sort of table fables from other games. But it wasn't a shared hobby at that point at all. Like, he used to just come home and tell me, 2 hours worth of...
Oh my god, babe, this happened.
Yeah,
and this happened.
And I, feigned interest a lot, but this one interested me. And I thought that's so interesting because I know as the party that you play with now would be like, oh, we'll save the children. And I'm like, let them die. Like, just to mix it up. Do you know what I mean? Like... And I am not that way at all. I am a kind, loving person. Like, well, I'm a caring person for sure. But I was like, let's flip that. Let's be someone the complete opposite of me, and dark and mean and evil and a bit of a bitch.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So I think we need to clarify that while you were a complete outsider to D&D, you did grow up being read The Hobbit to you as a bedtime story.
Yes.
So
and a lot of your bookshelf over there
is inherited from your dad.
Is my dad's books.
Yeah. When he's like, I don't need these books anymore, and I'm like, yeah, I'll take those and read them. And I just haven't got around to it. What's the question? How do I phrase this? So you were a complete outsider to D&D, but you weren't a complete outsider to fantasy.
No.
Do you think that had an effect on you finding it interesting? Because D&D typically is high fantasy.
Yeah, I think so, definitely.
I guess my question is, do you think you would have been as interested or got involved if you didn't have that upbringing of a bit of a fantasy background? Like, you liked fairies growing up and you liked magic and stuff. So do you think without that you would have been as interested?
No.
Okay.
I, like you say, was read The Hobbit as a bedtime story. Robin Hood as a bedtime story. Like, big books, that realistically I think my dad just wanted to read.
Your dad is a big reader.
Yeah, and, we had dogs, so we would go for walks in the forest all the time and we would go on little adventures and I would pretend my dog was my sidekick and, like, a lot of the kind of RP, if you would get little, children NPCs, that was my upbringing. Like, I did make little fairy homes in my garden, and I made little fairy baths out of acorn cups and stuff like that. Like, I was a real pixie. You
were a hippie bitch.
Oh my god, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, I think then, for people who are like, I really want my other half to get into it, but they just don't get it. They just don't get the fantasy side. They don't want to watch Lord of the Rings. They don't enjoy Star Wars, like that sci-fi space drama. They don't enjoy the typical stuff that most people would getting into D&D. Like, if you spoke to someone who likes D&D, they probably also like this and this and this. Yeah. They might not, but they probably do. Yeah. Do you think if you were one of those people, I could have ever got you to be like, look, let's just try one session? I mean, I know that's a hard question to answer because you're not that person, but...
I mean, maybe, I think in that sense, it's more of a, like, let's ease you into some fantasy films.
Yeah.
Like, low fantasy films. Or, like, let's, you know, ease you into fantasy books. Or The Witcher, say. Like, that was a massive trending thing. But a lot of that, I mean, and I've read those books as well.
Now, since the show came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's...
Because this is the thing, like, I know for me...
I think to get someone involved that is not into fantasy at all, get them into the popular now. The
pop culture stuff.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, because for me, I know that I get more enjoyment having you in the game because it is such a big part of my life. Like, I don't just play a game every week and that's kind of it. I talk about it for 2 hours every week, and
every day.
You know, well, no, but for a podcast, you know, I'm enough into this hobby that I've decided that I want to try and make content about it, and I want to talk to more people, and I want to meet more people who enjoy it. Like, I'm deep in.
Yeah, there just wasn't enough of it in your life.
If it was a cult, I would be the leader. Like, I'd be one of the subsector leaders. Like, I'd be one of the guys at the top, like, preaching and getting in new people.
For sure.
You know, I'd be like, right, okay, let's do your blood ritual. Let's go. Let's get you in. And, you know, I am the peer pressure. That's what I am. I want to meet more people and I want to get people into it. So having you part of the games and kind of, as you've played over the years, having you learn that understanding has meant that I get more enjoyment out of it in my home life because we can talk about it.
Yeah, we talk about it together.
Yeah. And I can say, I'm planning this for this other group, or I'm planning this for this one shot that you're not in. What do you think of this? What do you think of this as a player? And it just makes my life a lot easier, but also a lot more connected and whole. Like, and I guess that's the same with any hobby. Like, if I really loved football and you hated football, and I wanted to talk to you about an amazing game and how close it was, like, you just wouldn't care. Yeah, you know I don't like
this
football.
man does not watch football.
Thanks. Yeah. But you get what I'm saying. Like, you understand, like, the relevance of what I'm trying to say. So I think for people who have someone they live with or have a spouse who they do a lot with, and I'm using that term like loosely, another half, a couple, whatever, who really doesn't get it or just knows that you play this game and they're like, oh, how did your game go? Yeah, cool. And you can't really get into the final eight and you want to, then yes, like, finding a way in is tricky, but finding that first step, that first level ground, like, it's not, okay, let's watch Lord of the Rings. Those films are 3 hours long.
Yeah, no, that's a heavy...
That's not going to happen.
That's an almost chuck you in the deep end.
But hey, have you seen that Witcher is #1 trending on Netflix? Shall we watch one episode and see if you like it?
And it's got Fit Henry Cavill in it, so...
Boom. Yeah.
You even see his butt.
I mean, if that's their thing, yeah.
It's every woman's thing.
I mean, that's a bit... I mean, it's not. It's absolutely not.
No, it's just hardcore mine. It's fine.
Yeah, and I'm very aware of that. Henry, if you're listening to this podcast...
Oh my god.
Stay back, mate. I'm watching you. All right. Cool. So... Threats aside, I actually would welcome Henry into this relationship. Like, let's watch The Witcher together, Henry. I want to be your best friend too.
Let's build computers together, Henry.
Oh my god, the dream. Anyway. But the point is that finding that first step is the trick.
Yeah.
And once I think you've got someone who can watch The Witcher or watch, I don't know, what's another, Stranger Things. If they watch Stranger Things and you're like, and they really enjoy it, and you say, oh, so you know how they called the monster the Demogorgon and they're playing that game? That's D&D. Like, do you want to?
You could fight that.
Do you want to know a little bit more about that? But it's...
And there is even the Stranger Things Dungeons and Dragons game now as well, isn't there?
Oh, let's not talk about that.
I mean, we don't have to.
Let's not get into that disappointment.
If it was their thing, you could.
Then it is a way in, yeah.
Yeah.
But the really key thing is to not be pushy, I think.
Yeah.
Like, with you...
fully just let them do it in their own time.
Yeah, like, with you, I was like, oh, okay, so we were talking about, I was bringing up these things from Curse of Strahd because you started to ask me because I kept making annoying, exasperated noises as I was reading through the book, and you kept saying, "Oh yeah, that's cool." I think one of them was the kid in the boat in the lake.
The kid in the bag in the boat
in Lake Valaki.
Yes.
Yeah, and I was like, so the characters could save this child or they could not save it, and you're like, that's. And I think that moment of, wait, the characters could let this child drown, was, you were like, oh my god, you literally, that's not a heroic fantasy story. What are you on about?
Yeah.
And I think that's what grabbed you. But once you were kind of
child drowning in the lake.
Yeah, I know. It says a lot about you, doesn't it? This is the woman that watches serial killer documentaries for fun.
Who doesn't?
Who doesn't? Let's be honest. Doesn't mean you support serial killers.
No.
We had that conversation last night. But that moment...
I think it gives the good and evil conversation as well, which we do not need to get into because...
We love having that convo.
It's just, ridiculous. But, yeah, it's a very, very interesting conversation to have. If you... Ben as a DM has mentioned to all of us as characters, well, I think your character is this alignment, and I think your character is this alignment, and we've gone, no, not at all.
We're this alignment.
But it is.
Yeah.
And then we've had this whole massive conversation about the good and evil alignments.
Full-on debate.
Yeah. And I think that situation with the lake
presented that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then...
It gives you that opportunity to explore.
Yeah, that's what's so interesting.
And I think, in a way... And this is where we go from just being a kind of fan to being a hardcore fan. I think, in a way, that seeds in you the love that I have for it without you realising. And that's that, for me, Dungeons & Dragons isn't just a game. It's a way to explore inner quandary and explore your own self and your own mind and really just be someone else. And I don't think that if I'd have said that to you 5 years ago, you'd have been like, okay, loser. All right, it's a game.
Yeah.
But in a way, hearing that you had this, you would in this game have this moment, or you might have this moment where you have to affect the life of someone else, and what do you do? Like that kind of, like the trolley conundrum. Like, do you let it hit 4 people or 1 person? It's kind of like that. And I think that drew you in
one
without
person
you
you do know, or 4 people you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think.
I don't know. But once you had that kind of interest, it wasn't then about me saying, great, you're in, let's build a character, let's do this, think about this. Then it was, okay, well, we're going to go for a walk today through the woods.
In the forest.
Which is always, we always go for walks in woods and come up with characters in the woods.
Yeah,
it's just
the best place for it.
But
you are an adventurer.
Yeah.
That's the best way to do it.
Yeah, and you get to sometimes meet other people's
dogs.
Get
those mind juices flowing.
All right. But I think the next step for me was like, okay, well, you've shown an interest, so do you want to maybe play in the game? And you were like, oh, I don't know. You've said it's a big commitment. Oh, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, we did end up playing that game for about 2 years after that.
It was about 18 months. Yeah. I mean, it's a big... Campaigns are, that's the thing. But I said to you, yeah, it's a commitment, but if you really don't like it, it's not going to be the end of the world if you drop out. Like, I can fix that.
Because we did start with Death House. So if I didn't like it, I could have just stopped after that.
Yeah. And
here we are 5 years later.
Yeah, exactly. And this is my point. I wasn't pushy. I said, okay, well, if you do want to play, that means thinking about character. So what kind of character would you want to play? And instead of saying, okay, well, if you're a wizard, you and then going into like detail of being like, you have this and this, and you can do this. And if you're a paladin, you're this. It was more like simplified. Well, if you're a wizard, you are a magic user that you studied. And if you're a sorcerer, you're a magic user, but it comes innately. And if you're a paladin, you believe in good and justice, or maybe true evil.
Yeah, I think
like really simplified
as a real newbie, came up with the character idea in my head, and then just sort of...
You asked me what that would fit.
I came up with the personality, yeah. Before I was like, what race, what class, what, all of that came way after for me. I had her name, I had her backstory, but I didn't know what she was yet.
And I think that's a great way to start with, for a lot of characters, but I still do it that way on occasion now. Yeah, I think the point I'm trying to make is that it's a lot easier if there's already some sort of link, no matter how tenuous. Like, we were both drama kids, we were both actors, and another draw is that it's basically improv acting.
It's just a big improv.
Which is a lot of fun, but to someone else, that can sound terrifying.
Yeah.
You know? But that's how we play it. So yeah, my point is that it's easier if there's a link there. And if there's not, it's just about finding that common ground and being open to them saying, actually, I've given it a go, it's not my thing. The important thing is that they've given it a go.
And I think sometimes, and I mean, this might be controversial because, I mean, it's realistically my first knowledge of like D&D was like The Big Bang Theory and Community and stuff like that. But honestly, I mean, getting a new person into it, unless they're already into those things, I would shy away from that kind of thing because that just creates the stereotype of like, you know, the Sheldons of the world, and it's
I have a lot of issues with Big Bang
and
Theory.
I feel like that's a, you know, that is a portion of who we play with, but it isn't everyone. And if you are not with someone who is like into fantasy things and into, you know, stereotypical nerdy things, don't show them a group of 4 nerdy men playing a nerdy game, because it will just make them go, eee.
Here's an interesting question then. Do you think you would be, imagining you before you've got into D&D, do you think if you'd have seen something like Critical Role or, you know, Dice Camera Action or whatever, you know, Dimension 20, if you'd have seen any of those shows first, do you think that would have got you in? Or do you think you would have looked at it, gone, this is a load of people sat around a table talking, it's 2 hours long, it's 4 hours long, I can't be bothered?
I think it would be very overwhelming to see, you know, how many episodes there is of Critical Role and the kind of depth of it. Before I don't know if I ever told you this, before we played our first game, I was like YouTubing like how to play D&D because I like didn't want to go into this group of people who've been playing for a couple of years with absolutely no knowledge, but I ended up watching like some, I think it was like Nerdist or something.
Oh, you watched the SourceFed's
which wasn't
SourceFed doesn't exist anymore.
Proper D&D. It was almost like, but it's
like a really dumbed down.
Yeah, like they literally only had a D20, and it was like,
it was roll a D20, and if it's high, if it's low, and there was no modifier or character sheet.
No, but it did give you the general gist of it. And watching that was fun. And I was like, I am going to enjoy this because it's a write your own adventure. And if you roll terrible, you do terrible. And I think even in that, I think they went to the extreme of like, if it was a 1, a negative happened, like the opposite happened, which, you know. Yeah,
I mean, we'll talk about crit fails another day,
but that.
Crit fails.
It did. That did helped. Kind of draw me in because it wasn't full on, here is your character sheet, here is the maths, here is, you know, all of your proficiency bonuses and everything like that.
And the character sheet can be overwhelming.
Roll 1 dice.
Yeah.
If it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad.
So maybe going that simplified route will encourage people.
And
I mean, there are the basic rule sets, and we have said many times on the show that the starter set is one of, if not the best place to start D&D. There's a reason it exists, and I haven't played the Essentials kit, but I would argue that the starter set will always be the best one. Lost Minds of Fandelver will always be the best one for new DMs and new players, because it gives you a primo character sheet, it gives you a really good base adventure to start off with.
Yeah.
Okay, because I know there are a lot of people that get into it because they've watched Critical Role, but then there is sometimes the backlash being, well, this isn't like it was on Critical Role, because you've got to remember that they're voice actors and they make it's a living, it's a job for them. It's not a game. As much as I know that they say all the time, it's our game and we love playing this little game. It's more than that for them. They make their living doing this now.
Yeah.
So if you watch that and that's your expectation of D&D, and then you don't have a killer, amazing session with amazing drama and all this stuff,
if you don't have that group,
you're going to be like, oh, and I've always said I have particularly, but I think us together have been incredibly lucky with the group that we have.
Oh yeah.
We all get on. We all are of the same mind. We all know and feel we're in a safe space where if we want to be characters that hate each other, we can be, and there's no hard feelings. Like, we have got...
We apologise afterwards. because inevitably
we
you do feel a bit bad when you've been horrible to your friend, even as a character.
I have never had a group or a player horror story. And
no.
I see a lot of that on
they are quite scary when you see them.
Yeah, people go from group to group. I mean, one of our players had some bad experiences. A couple of them had some bad experiences with groups. And me putting them into the game was because they'd got in touch with me, and I knew them in life before all of this, and they'd said, I really want to play, but I don't really feel like I'm getting a good idea of what the game is. And I said, well, then come play with us for a bit. And they've joined the family now.
Yeah.
You know? So I think we have been incredibly lucky, and I think if you need to make sure you're maybe bringing your other half into, or the person you're bringing into a group that's respectful and kind and open.
Yes, definitely.
That's key.
Yeah. I mean, for the majority of my D&D career, I have always sat next to Joe.
Yeah.
Because if I did not understand anything, or didn't get the numbers, or didn't know what I was adding to what roll, he had my back, because you were busy doing, rolling 20 different monsters at the same time. Yeah. Like, so having someone else who is open to explaining it to someone and isn't going to get annoyed at that, like 5 years later, I do still ask those questions. I do still go, sorry, what am I rolling?
And that's fine.
What dice is it?
And that's okay.
Yeah. And yeah, having someone always there to say, oh, it's fine, just roll them too.
Yeah, that's a really important thing.
Have a good group, for sure.
Basically, don't just have your spouse in a group of people that they don't know. You've all got to be friends.
Yeah. I think it was important that it definitely helped.
Let's be honest,
that I knew them.
Like, if you're going to spend...
I only didn't know Adam very well.
Yeah. If you're going to spend minimum 2, potentially 4, 5 or 6 hours with this group of people every week, or every other week, you're going to become friends anyway. But you've got to... It's not just, hi, this is my partner, hi, this is my girlfriend, hi, this is my boyfriend. It's, this is Phoebe, she's cool, this is what she likes, this is her first game, get to know her, like, add them to the group chat. It's not just, oh guys, my other half is going to come to this game. You've got to really
they have to be
everyone.
Friends. Yeah. Otherwise it's just a random person in the table.
Yeah. Sorry, I've got a bug in the back of my throat. Hang on.
A bug?
You know what I mean. Not a bug. I haven't actually got a bug in the back of my throat.
Ew.
Leave me alone. I've been doing a lot of talking.
I think as well that was the wrong wording.
Come.
I think it was important for me, and inevitably probably why I agreed. When we first got together, it was I think we both had like day jobs, and like we spent the weekend together, but you would spend like all of Sunday
when we didn't live together.
Yeah. When we didn't live together, when we were both back at home, but I was at my mum's, you were at your mum's. It was 7 hours.
Sometimes.
Where you didn't text me, or you didn't talk to me, or so yeah, it was a lot of time sort of lost where I didn't get to spend that time with you. So it was just nice to spend that time with you and then see your excitement for it. And I think my excitement was built off of your
love for it.
Yeah, for sure. Because I can see, or like I could see when I did a really cool thing. Right, I did a really cool spell, or RP was great. You were like, I could see that twinkle. You were like, yes, yes, that's my girl. That's so sweet. Like, I feel like I made you proud. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I totally get it. And I think that's because of how big of a thing for me it is. Like, how big of a part of my life D&D has become.
Yeah.
I think if I was just playing once a week, it would not be as intense as that, but I don't do that. I basically play D&D every bloody day because I'm always thinking about it in my brain. there is something that to be said about just wanting to be a part of your other half's thing, their thing, you know.
Mm.
Yeah, definitely. And sharing in that excitement. There's also another big draw, and I think this is one of the things that really got you into it, personally, is that you just get to collect lovely, beautiful math rocks. And, of course...
such a dice goblin.
Dice Dungeon are the best place to get some real beautiful metal and resin D&D dice.
They are.
They are. Did you see that one coming?
Slightly.
Damn. Noah really caught me off guard last week, and I'm trying to regain that element of surprise, but it's really shook me. Yes, the Dice Dungeon are a wonderful company. Ben and Dave work really hard to find the best dice out there to let you have them in your collection, and you can get 10% off if you use the code We Speak Common on checkout. It's for the whole order, so the more you spend, the more you save. Hey, the more you support this wonderful show. So go and have a look. They've got some, I think they might have some new stuff on there. If not, they're restocked, so go and have a look. There are a lot of very popular favourite dice, like the Plain Shard series. I'm still waiting for mine. Can't wait. And Joe's favourite, the Noble Platinum, they always go out of stock. Burning Hands too, which I do have a set of. I'm proud to own those. So go and have a look, because restocks come in all the time, and if they're not there one day, they will be the next.
I have the Black Rainbow ones.
I don't know the name of those ones off the top of my head.
I think that...
Do you think they're just called Black Rainbow?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think so.
Do you only have one set?
From them, yeah.
Oh, we need to change that. Yeah. Ben, hook a girl up. Come on, man. I know you're listening. What would be... Is there a set that you've got your eye on?
I like the Fairy Fire ones.
Yeah, they are nice.
Of course. But equally, I quite like resin dice as well. I like their resin dice too.
They do have a lot of resin dice. And if you're thinking everyone wants nice dice, but I don't have the cash right now because we're in a pandemic, the resin ones are cheaper than the metal ones. So, and of course, just because they're here in the UK doesn't mean you can't get them everywhere. I see you American audience, you can get them shipped across the pond. So it's quite a quick shipment too. The other...
Also, can't forget the Kirill the Golden.
Oh.
Because they are...
Yes, that is my girl.
They are beautiful too.
They are beautiful. They're the ones I have on display behind me.
I feel like they've got a pretty good backstory.
They have an incredible backstory.
Right.
Really good, you know.
Wow.
Really good. But the other amazing partnership going on in this show is Describe. And you said you want to get into DMing, but you're a bit worried about being great at it. Like, you don't want to be mediocre, you want to be good. Yeah. Well, Describe, DSCRYB, offer you box text for pretty much anything you could want. There's a whole load of pre-written high fantasy set box text for places, monsters, and spells, and then there's compendiums too. Now you can get a load of these for free just by going to describe.com, so go and check them out. But if you grab yourself a membership, there are a number of different tiers. You get access to over 1,400, and they add dozens every single week. Might even be every single day.
Wow.
I know it's a lot. I know it's a ridiculous amount. So before we started recording, I asked you what box text you would like to
where
hear.
should we go?
And you picked out The Edge of the Forest. So,
it's the fairy within me.
It is. It really is. Close your eyes and imagine the tweeting of the birds.
Drifting away.
The rustling of the trees, the wind blowing in your hair. The trees rise like a palisade against the sky. Your eyes only penetrate a few yards into the dense shadowed foliage. Things stir within the deep reaches of the wilds, their rustlings and calls reaching your ears even here on the edge of the forest. Oh my god, instantly you are there.
Mysterious.
Beautiful. Anything could be in that forest.
Who
and
knows?
It fits.
That rustling could be bad.
Yeah.
That rustling could be
an almanage.
A cute little almanage. You knew exactly what I was going to say.
I always know it's the almanage.
Always the almanage.
So go and check Describe out, dscryb.com. Grab a membership. You'll get 10% off the recurring membership. It's not just the first one. So if you are worried it's like, oh, I only get 10% off my first month. No, every single month you will get 10% off with the code common on checkout. And of course, links in the description below. The final thing I really want to shout out, because I'm super proud of it, is the new Patreon reward that came out today. So we have a Patreon that supports this show. There are a number of tiers. The lowest one is literally just £1, just toss a coin to your podcast. The others are obviously different values, and you get different things for them. But as long as you are on the lowest tier, above the £1, you get access to every single piece of content for 5th edition D&D that I release. Currently, that includes the Team of Annihilation DM doc, which everyone can get, and the Spell Point Sorcerer variant class, which you are playing in Team of Annihilation. How are you finding it?
I love it.
Good, yeah?
Yeah, I absolutely love it. Sorcerers and sort of monks and their key points and their spell points, that has always confused me. And your sorcerer has just made it so much easier for me to understand, to get my head round. Reading it, like, really does, it is just easier. Yeah. It just makes more sense.
And the sorcerer is more powerful now. They're not just a crappy wizard.
Oh, I actually...
You like the sorcerer more?
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, that's a big statement.
Maybe.
Oh, I like it.
I do really. And this is my second...
sorcerer.
...character with your spell. Your sorcerer variant.
Because you playtested it originally, didn't you?
Yeah, I playtested it on Halloween, Stride Must Die, tonight. And yeah, now I'm playing in Team of Annihilation.
So you can grab that. You can grab that, and it has... I've done all the work, so it works with every single subclass published all the way up to Tasha's, and I'll probably update it as more subclasses come out in the future. But today, you can get your hands on Araman's Tome of Artifacts. It is a book for 5th edition. It's a short little book. It's about 10 pages in total, but it contains a variety of brand new magical items and ancient artifacts to throw into your world of D&D. I'm super proud of this.
You have all rights to.
I've been working pretty hard on it, and I really wanted to get it out this month. So you can go and see. I'll pop a picture up of it, do a nice little reveal. It's out on Instagram and Twitter. You probably would have seen those already. Just search We Speak Common. But yeah, go grab the Patreon. The minimum Patreon amount to grab those is £5 a month, and if you don't want to support the show monthly, you just want to grab a nice little item book, pay £5, download it, cancel your subscription. That's cool. I got you.
Can I do a little teaser to that in my favourite item?
Yeah, because it's out today. Go on.
I think I like the spell cubes.
Oh yes.
And the Sassax.
The Sassax is one of my favourites, because do you remember when I came up with the Sassax?
Yeah.
We were sat in traffic on a hot summer's day, and we were in like the car for like literally like an hour and a half with no aircon, not moving, and we were making names out of the number plates, and I created the Sassax, which is why it's spelled AAX, not AXE. But yeah, go and get that. Of course, just search We Speak Common on Patreon, and if you go to wespeakcommon.com, it will send you to the link tree. Just ignore the security message. It's just the SSL licensing being a dick. Thanks, GoDaddy. Just click advance and continue. You'll get to the link tree, and you'll get all of the links. Of course, the pinned tweet on Twitter is the Patreon too. Okay, that's enough plugging my stuff.
Check it out, though.
Yeah, please.
Check out the Sassax.
Please check it out. I'm really proud. I'm really, I'm buzzing for it.
Yeah.
And of course, I will be doing more in the future. Do I want to say that?
You already working on it?
I'm not already working on it physically, but in my brain, I have
ticking
a spell compendium and new rule set that I want to write out. So there's that. Anyway,
spicy.
Let's talk about our actual topic again. So yeah, spicy. Where were we? I've just lost track talking about Patreon. Yeah, getting you into D&D. So being at the table and being in a couple, what is that like? Does that change anything for you, do you think? I mean, I know it's hard to know because you've kind of always been in games
Yeah,
with
I've
me.
never been in a game without you, but I think probably when I first started, because you weren't just another player, you were the DM. So you decided if my character died. And I think probably at the beginning,
I don't
was
decide
like,
that. The dice decide that.
Yeah.
Your poor
you know.
decisions decide that, Phoebe.
Yeah, that's true. But I think at the beginning, I was like, I'm his girlfriend.
Why is he
no.
getting this orc to hit me with an axe?
Yeah, like, I'm on low HP. Hit someone else. Do you know what I mean? Like, come on. Giving him the eyes across the table, and he's like, it's the way the dice roll. Like,
you shouldn't have run into that room full of orcs.
Like, you did it to yourself. But
yeah,
and I think probably when I first started, it probably was a bit of that. But that's, I think, the good thing about you. I think maybe, some DMs DMing for their girlfriends, they might go easy on them, but you do not go easy on me.
No.
And
are you saying I like to pound you with
my God,
big orcs?
Stop.
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. You teed it up and I had to go for it. There had to be an innuendo somewhere.
Honestly.
Anyway, no, but I understand what you're saying. Yes,
there has to not be
favoritism. Yeah,
exactly.
And I think teaching anyone D&D, like, I mean, you shouldn't make it hard for them, but one of the whole things in D&D that really makes it appealing for me is that there are consequences for your actions.
Yeah.
And if you're doing that right, then great. That makes it fun for me. I mean, again, cop-out answer, it comes up every week. Everybody's different. Every group is different.
Yeah.
And you might all be playing for different things and different reasons. But, yeah, I think having someone close to you at the table, whether it's a best friend who you really want to enjoy the game or your other half or whatever, you've got to help them, nurture them, teach them how to play, because let's not lie, that rulebook is intimidating when you're new, but also don't just let them do whatever the hell they want. Like, there are still rules that you have to follow to make the game a game and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've always played with a group of people who are our friends before our party.
Yeah.
And
that's nice, friends before our party.
Yeah. Like, the other day, Craig tried to hide in a bush.
And that bush happened to be an assassin vine.
So,
it was just like, can we just talk about that moment for a minute?
I'm sorry.
Because that was my favourite thing that's happened in a long time. So you were walking through the jungles of Charles.
And bless them, Craig was feeling poorly that day.
Yeah, they weren't having a good day, were they?
They were not.
Not tip-top shape. They were quite ill.
They just messaged saying, if I was not ill, I would be so devastated.
Yeah, they were like, oh no, I've got one death save. Oh no.
What a shame.
But so you guys were walking through the jungles and you'd roll in for this random encounter for the assassin vines, which, if you don't know, I kind of imagine them like giant man-eater plants, basically. Like, they...
Little shop of horrors.
Yeah. See more, feed me. Yeah. What is he called? What is the plant called?
Seymour is the guy.
Yeah, what's the plant called? This is not good for drama kids. We should know
No,
this.
I really don't know.
Oh God, if Alex was here right now, he'd be telling us off.
Oh my God. Sorry, AK.
Sorry, guys. Yeah, so that's how I imagine them. But Craig's character was leading the party, and they are a rogue, and I said,
no, I noticed it.
Yes, but Craig's character's up front, and they wanted to like jump in a bush and hide. And I said, okay, what direction are you jumping in? Because your whole group hadn't actually noticed
all around us
that you'd walked into their hunting ground. You'd like stumbled literally into like effectively their nest. Then they don't have a nest, but it was like their area. And I said to Craig, give me a compass direction, because I knew where they were. And they said east, into the bush to my east. He was like, where? They were like, where's the bush? And I was like, everywhere. He was like, okay, well, I'll go east then. And just I'm sitting there, that's
No,
literally
no.
the one direction you shouldn't have picked. But it was the best moment ever. Like, literally jumping into the maw of danger without knowing it.
The mouth.
The mouth of the plant. But yeah, you know, things happen and we're all friends and we all like joke about it and get on and rib each other, but like that's kind of fun for us. We are quite bantery.
Yeah.
But I totally agree that
all they were trying to do was hide, but that was the consequence.
Oh, okay, you just really shook that microphone.
I was really into
You got really into that.
I'm sorry.
But yeah, that was the consequence. And we're quite good at that and not having that favoritism. Like, if your character jumped into the bush, you would have jumped, the creature would not have moved from the east side. It would have still been to your east and you still would have jumped into its mouth. And Craig's character got down to 2 negative death saves.
Yeah.
And nearly died. So there were proper consequences. And that would have been you. But yeah, I agree. There shouldn't be that kind of favoritism. Is there anything about being in a relationship at the table that makes you play differently? Like, do you think, does it ever go through your mind like, okay, I shouldn't treat Ben differently, or I shouldn't treat... Because part of me is thinking like, well, really, it just shouldn't come into it. But also at the same time, I'm like, well, why would you treat someone differently? But I think it's still like a question that's in my brain. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, I get it. I think there's probably been moments where my character may have been, you know, I've had bards and stuff like that. My character may have been attracted to another character.
Yeah.
And I think you being my boyfriend and say, you know, I was attracted to
Wesley's character,
is that then awkward?
No.
I mean, if
For
anything,
me,
I've
no.
been attracted to the big bads, so...
Yeah, I mean that's me anyway. I mean, I think you pretty much fell for me when I played a big bad in a play at sixth form, so that kind of sums you up, doesn't it? You're like a bad boy, and I'm not a bad boy, so I don't know why we're sat here, but there we go. But again, I think that comes down to groups, though, because some tables don't want romance in their games, and some do, and I am okay with it in my games, and our party seems to be okay with it to an extent.
Yeah.
But for me personally, I wouldn't find that weird because I separate.
No, but we do have
that stuff.
We do have characters in a homebrew game that
are in a very strange relationship.
Yeah, and the whole party have always just been like, "What the hell is going on there?"
Yeah.
Like, because they're not
together.
They're not together,
they
but they're
kind of
not
hate each other,
not
but they don't
together.
hate each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You always come to my rescue if I'm near dead.
Desperately in need. Yeah.
And I would come to yours, but it's a very odd relationship and nobody ever really worked it out.
And that game is currently dead in the water.
It's
which
very
is a shame.
sad, but yeah.
But
that's quite nice as well, because you can experience that side of D&D, because it is one. You know, characters do form
relationships. And that doesn't mean romantic either. Relationships in general. I mean, look at my game where I play in Descent. Not my game, it's James's game, but I play with Wes, and his character and I hated each other.
Yeah.
And now, because of events in the game, we're like best buds. And that was so cool, having that relationship between those characters and watching it change and form. And I killed his character. And he came back to life because of a devil contract, because of Ernest. And
you know, hell.
He lost his memories along the way. Yeah. And in that moment, I had this quandary of, do I help him get his memories back? Because this is a fresh chance for me. And I like manipulating people, and I want him to like me. And because he's evil. And then, but he also is a soft sponge, and he falls in love with everybody. Basically, falls in love with everything that breathes. And when he got his memories back, it was this big moment of, I don't know if I'm going to be the same person before or a new person. And like that evolution of that relationship has made that game so much more fulfilling for us.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a romantic relationship.
And I mean, in my Waterdeep character was a lone wolf, did not want anything to do with anyone. I think one of my flaws was like, I do not Like, I do not have
play well with
friends. I do
others.
not have
Yeah.
comparison,
Companions.
comparisons. And to the end of it, Brom was her best mate.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Brom
hard
was
not
her
to
best
be.
friend, and she would do absolutely anything for him now.
Yeah, it's not hard to fall in love with Brom, though.
No.
He is
But
a sweet snowflake.
Also Orlo.
Well, this is the thing. Sam said to me like a couple of weeks ago, I love this. He hasn't been playing with us that long, but he's played in 2 different games where we've got different characters and a one-shot as well.
Mm-hmm.
And he said it's funny because whenever my characters get a little bit infatuated with yours, he always thinks, "Oh, your Ben's showing," and that's funny to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, because like Orlo and oh my mind. What was your name?
Oh my god, are you kidding?
Hang on, no, Toto. Over there. Lilith. Orlo and Lilith. There are a lot of NPC and character names in my head. Come on. Orlo and Lilith didn't have a thing, but they had a relationship, whereas she didn't have relationships with other characters. Not a romantic one. It might have been. We don't know. We never explored that.
No, it was more of a like mutual. You can do this for me, and I can do that for you.
But it grew into something a lot more friendly.
Yeah, because we spent time together. Because I was teaching you how to use the sword, and you were teaching me how to
use a bit of magic. Yeah.
But it was a mutual, like,
connection.
What can I learn from you kind of thing.
Yeah, a mutual benefit thing, which is very much Orlo, to be fair.
Whereas with Brom, her backstory is all about, like, she was left alone as a, like, pretty young child. So she didn't have a, like, maternal or character at all. So with Brom, I think the relationship is keeping him safe, is protecting him.
Yeah.
Because he is so naive and just
just doesn't know the way of the world, does he?
Yeah. But I mean, she does that in her own way. You know, she does that in a aggressive way.
Yeah.
But there is always love behind that for Brom.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not. Yeah, it's more of a, I want to take care of you so that nothing bad ever happens to you because you're adorable.
We're getting towards the end of this episode, but there's one more thing I want to touch on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really important, and I think it's something we haven't said yet. And that's that when you have someone at your table who you spend a lot of your time with, I mean, we live together, it's, I think, very important, and sometimes we're good at this and sometimes we're not, to leave stuff that's happened in the real world away from the table.
Yeah. You
and I live together, so we butt heads sometimes. That's human nature. And sometimes we butt heads right before the game. But as soon as that camera goes on, as soon as the microphone goes on, we get on. We're friendly. Yeah. We forget that. Because it's fucking awkward watching people argue for real at a table. And I think if you are considering having your roommate or your life partner or your family in a game regularly, you need to set up that expectation and that boundary that when we're at the table, whatever's happened in real life, we're not gonna, like, if you're angry at me for something, you've got to let it go at the table. You can be angry at me again afterwards if you want to be, but at the table,
you just put pause on it.
We're not gonna talk about it. We're not gonna make snide jokes or references. We're not gonna shoot eyes. Like, we're just gonna have some fun and play a game with our friends, because it's not just us there. And as I've always said, D&D is a group thing. There's a responsibility to the other people at the table to actually put some effort in and be a part of it. Yeah.
But equally, I mean, before obviously
COVID,
it's a pandemic, we had them come to our house.
Yeah.
So if our house was full of that
energy,
negative, angry energy, I mean, like, Wesley is very good at, like, picking up on that kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, if we were quiet to each other, it was like, oh. But as soon as everyone was there, it's It's different, and also, you know, it breaks up the energy. I think maybe even if we have ever argued before a game of D&D...
We've never argued afterwards.
We've never argued after.
But it also helps because it's like at least 4 hours of not talking about it.
Of getting over it time and being in a different world time.
And I've always said D&D is the place where you go,
escapism.
you forget your real world problems and you start worrying about goblins and dragons and...
running a bar.
Yeah, and who you're going to hire. And that does get rid of those issues in your real life because it quantifies them and it puts them in a box for a while. And sometimes that's good and sometimes that's healthy. And this is where we've gone into that conversation of D&D being more than just a game, and people who only see it as a game roll their eyes and go, God, you nerd. But you get what I'm saying.
I think right now as well, and for us, because we do live together and we cannot leave our houses.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, I'm only going back to work tomorrow after about nearly a year off.
7 months.
Really.
Months. Yeah.
You know, on and off of being stuck at home.
Yep.
So getting into, you know, your mind palace, it does get you out of the house in a sense, because you're in a forest, you're in a jungle, you're in a cave, you are not at home and you are not yourself. You do not have this worry of a virus. You do not have, unless of course there is a virus in your game, because that did happen to us
in Waterdeep just as Corona is happening. Yeah, that was a bit on the
but
nose.
Equally it was just a bit on the nose, and then we almost found humour in it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, because then it started propping up and it actually did take over the city, and it was like, oh no.
Yeah.
Got the Rona.
So I think right now, especially if you are stuck at home with your significant other, not stuck at home, if you are safe at home with your significant other,
nice.
Get them into the escapism of this, you know, brand it as that. It is a form of release. Because you can also, if you're angry, you can go kill a dragon, you know?
Or try.
Yeah, or, like, you can let go of real world issues.
Yeah, it's a form of mindfulness.
In your mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, it's not. It's just a game, you geek.
I mean...
It's not.
No.
I've said before, I have read an amazing amount of articles about D&D being used for reformation and for therapy, and that is bonkers mad, and I love it.
I mean, if you, like... You have to remember that drama therapy is a thing. Art therapy is a thing. Music therapy is a thing. That is... D&D is all of those things. That is drama therapy because it's improv. It's music therapy because we as a party always have background music.
Yeah.
And it's always lovely. And it is art therapy because, I mean, I spend a lot of time, you spend a lot of time drawing things and creating characters. Yeah. And it's artistic and it's creative. So it is a form of self-care. It's releasing a lot of, you know, your pent-up emotion, which right now is very difficult to deal with for everyone.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely.
I think that's great. So, I mean, if anything, with a significant other, take it slow, let them be the kind of
instigator of
the driving force. Yeah. If it's brand new, fresh,
never into fantasy,
go for some nice pop culture-y,
find something that's familiar.
Halfway.
That's what it is. It's find something that they feel comfortable with, or they have a familiarity with that will link into D&D.
And if all else fails, it is a social event, and God knows we all need that right now. It is a social event, it is escapism, and you can be someone else and not have the issues of today and this year.
Yeah.
I think it's
a really nice place to leave it.
Yeah.
And I think...
because I honestly, without Sundays this year, would have been so alone.
Yeah.
Because I did, for half of the year, live on my own.
Yeah.
So...
because of the bloody pandemic.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, if anything, this this episode has taught people a lot about me as well. You.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think there's a lot of us in this episode, which is nice.
Yeah.
Thank you, Phoebe. I love that. I don't think you have anything to plug. Do you have anything to plug? Would you like to plug something?
No.
You don't want to plug a social media or a brand or anything?
Oh, well, I mean...
There's nothing you want to plug?
Kind of, but I mean, it's not really... I mean, maybe by next...
Only dogs heard the end of that
Sorry.
sentence.
I think by next week, hopefully, I should have an Etsy shop where I make handmade embroidered bags. Some of them are particularly nerdy.
Oh, and Lord of the Rings themed.
Lord of the Rings themed bag. I have a D&D themed bag, and I will also be doing commissions. So any design that you would love to have on a little canvas tote, little shopper.
Good
because
little,
we can't be buying them plastic bags.
No, gotta be good for the environment.
Just let me know. Etsy will be Handmade by Hammond Co. Instagram will be Handmade by Hammond, or my personal account is Phoebe, with 2 Y's. And yeah,
cool.
I mean, currently I also have a Vinted, which is also Handmade by Hammond. So if you want to shop my wardrobe.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I think 4% of the audience is female.
Yeah.
But hey, if you've got another half who...
I do also casually wear men's clothes.
That's true, actually. Some cool men's clothes as well. It's quite frustrating. You've got a cooler wardrobe than me.
Thanks.
So yeah, if you've got another half that wants to look cool, Handmade by Hammond. That's the place to go. Cool. And as ever, if you want to get involved with the show, there's tons of ways of doing it. I make it so easy for you if you want to get involved. There's so many different ways. WeSpeakCommon@hotmail.com is the email. @WeSpeakCommon on Twitter and on Instagram, and that is growing and becoming a lot more active. So come and join us on there. There is, of course, the WeSpeakCommon.com website, which will shoot you over to the link tree, which has a link to every single podcasting platform that We Speak Common is on. There is the YouTube. It also has the links to the discount codes for the 2 sponsors and partnerships. And there's a Patreon too, where you can really get up in my face and come
good stuff now.
Come and chat to me all the time on Discord. It's actually quite frustrating for you, isn't it? Because anyone on the Discord server basically has a 24-hour link to me and our group.
And Ben cannot turn
it off.
A D&D conversation.
No.
He won't.
No.
If he is not, busy up to his eyes,
I will always answer.
He will always.
And we've got a really good group on there.
Always. Even if he's halfway through cooking dinner.
Oh, yeah.
And burning the potatoes.
Oh, yeah.
He will be on his phone answering D&D questions. So
we've got a lovely little section for useful tools. We've got a homebrew section. We've got episode discussions. We've got crit roll spoiler chats. We've got all that good stuff.
Lovely.
But the other night we had a really, really good convo about running D&D for people with chronic illnesses and how to run D&D if you have a chronic illness, and how to work with that. So there's lots of different ranges of conversations going on there, and I would love for more people to join us. So if that sounds like your thing and you want to support the podcast, the Patreon is the place to go. As ever though, the best thing you can do is 100% free, and it's just to share the show. Give us a review, give us a rating on your platform of choice, and share us with anybody that will listen. Shout it off the rooftops.
Yeah.
Graffiti it on. Actually, no, don't. That's
don't do that.
Damage. Don't do
tell your mum and dad.
Tell your mum and dad. They probably won't listen, but tell people.
Tell your brothers. Tell your sisters.
Tell everyone. Okay, let's leave it there because we're just rambling now. Thank you, Phoebe. We're gonna play D&D later, but right now we're gonna go and eat some pancakes.
Pancakes.
Yeah. I'm really hyped for pancakes. I'm really hungry.
Love it.
Oh.
I ordered you extra maple syrup too.
Oh, you babe.
What can I say?
Yeah, you just know me too well. All right. Thank you for joining me in this
You're very welcome.
wonderful small room.
Thank you.
See you later. Thanks for listening today. If you like the show, do us a favour, leave us a like and review on your platform of choice, and share us with your friends. Send us to your fellow DMs and players so that we can build our community even more. It really helps to get us out in front of more eyes. If you want to support the show, you can by joining our Patreon. Links can be found in the show description and the episode descriptions on all platforms. The music in the podcast is Street Dancing by Timecrawler82. It's licensed under a Creative Commons license by NC. You can find it on the Free Music Archive.